I'm Jeannie,
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Nikki from Tyrion's Landing,
a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in
3,
2,
1.
Welcome to Voices of Defiance. It's a podcast about sci-fi's television show Defiance and all of its universes, to include, but not limited to, the video game. We're not experts, just a few fans like yourself that love the show and want to geek out about it. If you haven't caught up to the latest aired episode, you might want to pause right now and go catch up, since there will be spoilers. You have been warned. And now, let's have some fun and get on with the podcast.
Grenade! Hello, I'm your host of Voices of Defiance. My name is Stargate Pioneer. My friends call me SP. And with me is the woman who swore she would never get on a plane, got on a plane anyway, and got to experience some geeky awesomeness. Her name is Shannon.
Hey guys, it was awesome. And I went on the plane for a special reason. Special reason.
Special reason only. Okay.
Special reason only. Well, it was to meet Arista Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Who I'd never seen before. I mean, we've been talking for a year and a half now. So I went all the way to her house and spent the weekend with her. But we went from her house to the New York Comic-Con, which is about 20 minutes away.
All right. We'll get to that in a second. In the meantime, let me just remind everybody that this time we'll be talking about the penultimate Continuum episode, season 4, episode 5, Desperate Hour. And just a reminder, you can catch us at GonnaGeek.com and go to the contact page and find all the great ways you can reach us, including our voicemail line, which is 612-888-ARC1 or 612-888-2751. All right, before we get to the Comic-Con stuff with Arista Wi-Fi, which that sounds awesome to me, what have you heard about Defiance? Is it renewed yet?
I could tell you it's not renewed yet, but I could tell you what they canceled. They had canceled Dominion.
So that could mean that Defiance is leaning towards a renewal of some sort.
Or it could mean they're going to be idiots and bomb both of them and then,
start new, huh?
Start new.
They could. And, a lot of it depends on how The Expanse airs in late December as well. It's in that same time slot that the Ascension series was, miniseries or whatever was last year, which didn't go well. I mean, Sci-Fi actually planned that well. I mean,
I can also tell you that they premiered some of the expansion at the Comic-Con, and it didn't get received well. There was not many people.
Well, a lot of people say January and February is where the movie theaters, movie houses like Sony and 20th Century Fox, whatever, that's where they send movies to die, right? Now, the mid-season premieres have been getting more and more traction. I mean, in the comic book realm, we're talking about Legends of Tomorrow. We're talking about Agent Carter, which you like, right?
Yeah, I like, yeah.
Yeah.
I like, yes.
So the mid-season TV season is pretty good, but there is this short little time span between when the fall series get to their mid-season point or the mid-season finale point, and then they stop for a month, 2 or 3. And Sci-Fi has the opportunity to jump into that and say, hey, look, here's something. And that's what they did with Ascension last year. It sounds like that's what they're doing with The Expanse this year.
Well, I can also say on a personal note, they premiered The Magicians.
Yeah.
Which is another thing they're promoting this. I was not impressed at all. I wasn't.
Is that a Sci-Fi show or is that like a TNT show?
It's a Sci-Fi show. Okay. Yes, it's from the Sci-Fi Channel. And I could tell you, I was inside the containment panel. It's not a Sci-Fi show. It's just, I don't remember what channel it's going to be on, but it had Claudia Black in it, which is why I was there. But before then, I had to sit through 2 panels to get to Claudia Black. So I watched the Magicians panel, and I swear to you, it looked like 2 rows of Sci-Fi executives over to my right. So I was giving them the evil eye the entire time. And when Magicians got done, I stood up and yelled, "Renew Defiance!"
Did they
all
look at
turned
you?
around and looked at me. So it was worth it, though.
That's awesome. All right, so hopefully your avocation, your little Renew Defiance outburst actually got a little traction. And I still monitor the renew or cancel forums out there. There's been, even now, people saying renew this, we got to renew it. Some people are still going through how you going to get Nolan and Doc Ewell back, but we talked to Kevin Murphy about that. So
there's been so much negativity on Twitter this past couple of days. It's been about 2 days now since they've canceled Dominion, and let me tell you, they have been lighting it up.
About Dominion?
Yeah, angry about Dominion.
Well, you're going to get some of that.
So you're going to if they were waiting to see how the ratings were doing on Dominion, technically you would think that sounds good for Defiance, because if they were going to choose between the two of them, they've lost one of them. So that technically should leave us with just Defiance.
That's assuming that you're only choosing between the two, though.
Right. But Defiance is expensive, and we've talked about that before. So what if they're crazy enough to lose both of their flagship shows and pick up these little magician stuff like that? It's just...
I mean, they've done it before. That's how we got Warehouse 13. That's how we got Eureka. That's how we got the Face Off show and the reality shows and that sort of thing. So I understand it. And let me be clear. I will not be angry at Skiffy for if they do cancel Defiance, because they did give us a good run. It went all the way to the end with an ending that I am happy with. Now, other people might not feel that way, but personally I am. What I would feel a little bit miffed about is waiting this long to give the answer. That is kind of stupid.
Well, what aggravates me is like in the release statement that they gave about Dominion, they're blaming declining viewership, but they make it hard when they wait for so long to show a show. Like you were talking about, like a mid-season stuff, and you watch 10 episodes, and then a year and a half later, you finally get your next season. It takes a long time for Sci-Fi to give us back a season.
Right. Now we don't walk in their shoes. We don't know what other forces that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We can just, from a consumer standpoint, say, hey, look, you could probably get that a little bit better. I tend to think that they actually know what they're doing a little bit. And when they cite declining numbers, what they're really citing is declining ad revenue, because these shows have to be able to produce revenue in order to be made. And if they're not getting advertisers to the amount where they can actually sell the show, like have the show on and not lose an excessive amount of money, they can lose a little bit, because they're going to gain a little bit of it back in post-season or post-series video sales or merchandising or whatever, but it's not much. They really need to make a lot of that money back in advertisement during the show.
Wouldn't they be making money if they actually marketed it?
See, okay, so marketing is another budgetary item. So, and I don't know how big the staff is on Skiffy. It's part of NBC Universal, but Skiffy has not been a powerhouse. So there's no AMC. AMC can market the crap out of Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead and The Colony and that sort of thing, because they have a little excess cash, because The Walking Dead was such a big thing because of Breaking Bad. They're able to do that sort of thing. With Sci-Fi, they haven't had that big boom hit since Battlestar Galactica, and even then it wasn't all that much. It wasn't at the level The Walking Dead was. So you have to be able to spend an appropriate amount to market. So it's not an unlimited budget. You have to think in terms of a business, and I get it. Now, as a consumer, I just want it. I want my Sci-Fi. That's me. This is supposed to be my channel. And I just, because I'm not a comic book.
These are my peeps.
Yeah. Sci-fi is what I grew up on. Star Trek, Star Wars, Robotech, all these cartoons, all these great, The Last Starfighter in the 80s, whatever. 80s sci-fi is what I grew up on, and that is what I wanted to continue to get better. However, in this particular case, you've got a channel which just does not have the viewership to have the revenue in order to do everything that we want it to do. So we help them out by banding these communities. That's why we have this podcast, is because we're geeking out about it, but we're also advertising for this as well. So I just want to say, I know it's difficult for them, and I thank them for trying to put on a quality sci-fi product for me, but let's get to that answer a little bit sooner, guys. I would appreciate it, and that would allow us to move on in a lot of different ways. Like, we could support the next thing that you have coming out versus trying to hang on to something which eventually you got to. Defiance is not going to last forever, even if they do renew it. It's probably just going to be one more season, and maybe not even a full season. Yeah,
we've always said that you always get if you get anything past third, your fourth will be it. So even if we get another one, I know that we will not get a fifth, because this is the way sci-fi runs. They give it a shot, normally to the third season, and then we start seeing things like Warehouse 13, where they come back for like 6 episodes. I mean, they just don't finish. You're not going to get a fourth, unless it was like Battlestar, and even that didn't. How far did that go?
Season 4, which was broken out into 2 different things. Okay, so Sci-Fi now is in a model where they'll give you 2 seasons, like alphas. They gave us 2 seasons of alphas, right? So they can do that, but there's been a lot of cancellations in the first season, like Ascension. That's a great example. Give us 6 episodes. It doesn't work out. Okay, we'll can it. Stargate Universe, that was 2 seasons. It didn't work out. We'll can it. So they have the 2 season thing, but now with the Expanse, now with Ascension, you're getting 6 episodes, and if you don't give me something, I'm sorry, we can't bring it forward. Ascension had a good premise. If they would have wrote the story a little bit differently, if they would have marketed it a little bit differently, I think it would have done fine. But the way they marketed it, the way the expectations were, it just didn't work out. And
yeah, I was excited. No,
yeah,
I didn't finish it.
Yeah, I did, and after I finished it, I'm like, okay, I can see where this is going. I would have bought in, but that intermediate 5 hours, the first half an hour, great. The last half hour, great. The 5 hours in between, not so much. So if they would have marketed that differently, I would have been on board from the beginning. But I want a space sci-fi show. And today, we really don't have one yet. And that's wrong. We have, I'm sorry, I forgot about this last summer. We have Killjoys, which is arguably kind of a space show. We have Dark Matter, which is also definitely a space show.
I just started watching that.
It's good, isn't it? I mean, as far as sci-fi,
on Netflix, it's great.
Yeah,
I'm like the 4th episode into it. I like it. I like the darkness of the space drama, but it's also done by Stargate people, so. Right. It already has my attention.
Right. Okay. So no news yet on Defiance other than Dominion has been canceled. We'll see if we get a little bit more news before we do our final podcast on Continuum, which is just in a couple days. So I'm not sure that's going to happen or not. We might actually come with a special edition sometime before Thanksgiving this year. And by the way, you are listening to Voices of Defiance, special report number 4 on Continuum Desperate Hour, recorded and streamed live Friday, October 16th, 2015. All right. New York Comic Con. You had a weekend away in New York. How'd it go?
It was awesome. And 151,000 people were reported for the Comic Con.
That's
now,
rivaling.
I'm assuming that's over 4 days.
That's rivaling San Diego Comic Con. That's about the same numbers they get.
Is it? Well, I was only there Saturday. So I flew in to New Jersey Friday afternoon. Spent the weekend with Rissa Wi-Fi. She lives in Jersey, so she's about 20 minutes from downtown. So Saturday morning, we got up and headed over. And oh my God, it was crowded. But that's cool. That is my element. That's what I like to do.
Those are
that's
your
my
peeps.
Those are my peeps. Those crazy people that are wearing the what the heck are you wearing? Those are my people. So 151,000 people. Now, as much as I loved it, I only had one complaint. One. The way that they do their main stage panels. Like, I was really excited to see the X-Files premiere.
Yeah.
Right? And the only autograph I wanted out of the entire thing was Claudia Black. And I didn't get either one of them. Because they do a first come, first serve, which is natural because all of them do that. They did, an hour and a half before. I mean, I go to cons all the time. I'm not like I'm a newbie, right? So I know if you want to get into this room that's going to be really wildly popular, then you gotta get there early. Like I knew I had no chance of getting into the Firefly reunion. It's not gonna happen. Even in Dallas, it just doesn't happen because it's just too crowded. But an hour and a half before the X-Files was supposed to start, we were there in line. Or we were trying to get into line, but they had these things where they passed out wristbands.
Okay.
And they were gone an hour and a half before the show started. So while I understand the need for wristbands because you can only have so many people in one room, I understand that. They had no communications. So unless you were within earshot of the security that were yelling, hey, you need a wristband for this event, you're out of luck. So that aggravated me. We didn't see any of the X-Files. So Claudia Black, she was supposed to do a limited signing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At 1:15, we were there. And the security and the security said, hey, yeah, come back. She's going to be here. You can get in line about 2:30. Cool. Never once said anything about it needing wristbands. There was no signs anywhere. We left. We went to continue shopping for merchandise, come back, and guess what? Couldn't get in line because she didn't have a wristband. So they needed bigger signs. They needed, other than word of mouth, is the way they needed to communicate this stuff. So that was my only complaint because there's no other con that I've gone to that's had that. Even Dallas Comic-Con is pretty big. I mean, we didn't have the numbers like New York, but we had like 68,000 people last May. So it's pretty big considering it's not a gigantic one.
Yeah. Okay.
And Stan Lee was there.
Right.
So, I mean.
So I did the San Diego Comic-Con in 2011. So my experience is getting dated, admittedly. However, one of the big reasons why I didn't go back was that getting a whole weekend pass, that 4-day pass with the preview night, which is really the night that you go and see the floor, the display floor with all the vendors and stuff like that. Those are gone. You can't get them, and there's so many people that want to go that you just can't get there. So while you were there, and they probably have changed it since I was there, admittedly, you had to stand in line for hours. Like in some cases, like the Doctor Who panel, it was the first Doctor Who panel back in the United States, I think probably in a long time, if ever, at San Diego Comic-Con. There were people lined up the day before, like the afternoon before in Hall H. People were, and Saturday, because it was a Sunday morning panel. So Saturday afternoon at lunchtime, people started lining up for the Doctor Who panel. So they slept out there all night just to see it. All right. I am over 40. I am not going to be doing that ever again. I can just wait. You learn a little bit patience when you get older. Yes, being in that room would be cool, but all I'm doing is seeing them on a stage anyway. Somebody's going to videotape it. It's going to pop up on YouTube. I will see the YouTube later.
Yeah, hey, I've already watched X-Files, so it was great.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that, and I'm glad that there's this big fandom that wants in. But to get me to a major con anymore to experience this stuff, and that's just not happening. Now, if I would go just to see the vendors, if that was my main purpose, and I didn't have to wait in line hours upon hours to see a panel, and that's something that I could see on YouTube 2 days later in 15 minutes, it's
exactly. My major draw that I go to cons for are for photo ops and autographs, because I know that panel is going to be on YouTube. Someone's going to record it. So back in 2014, when Defiance and Warehouse 13 were both at the Dallas Comic-Con, that was an awesome event. Awesome. And I had a VIP ticket for it. So I got to get into these. It's funny because the Defiance panel back then, I mean, it was popular, but it wasn't as big as well known as now because they were in the middle of I think they're in between their first and second season. So I got in and I was like, 5 rows away.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. And then, I got in second row, dead center for Warehouse 13. And it was awesome. It was my favorite experience at any con I've ever gone to. But even then, all that was on YouTube the next day. So to me, the biggest draw, I want the photo ops. I want to get in line and get an autograph because that's the most intimate, where you're actually meeting the people. So that's the most important thing to me at the con. So it was big. It was awesome. There were so many cool costumes there that, it was great. I would do it again, but I wouldn't try to get into a panel room again.
Right. Now, we were going to talk to Michael Ruddy, the 3D printing cosplayer that we know, on Starling Tribune last night and ask him his experience about the New York Comic Con as well. He didn't have a chance, so we will be talking to him next Friday night or next Thursday night on the Starling Tribune. That's Thursday, October 22nd. Yeah, Thursday, October 22nd, 9 p.m. You can either catch it live on Blab, and you can find that via gonnageek.com/live, or you can go to the YouTube channel later, the Gonna Geek YouTube channel later, and catch that. So we will be talking to him about New York Comic Con as well. Now, we did watch an episode. We are hours away from the United States season finale of Continuum, but in Canada, it's been almost a week since it aired. Neither Shannon and I have seen it, but we did see the penultimate episodes of Continuum, the penultimate. I mean, like the second to last episode ever of Continuum, and it was a good one. Heck, a lot of fighting, but there was a lot of explosions, a lot of grenades, a lot of grenades.
Bullets.
Yeah, well, more grenades than bullets. We've had bullets there before, and this is the second time the police office has been completely gutted. Sonia did it before, but this was a little higher explosive level, so the roof caved in this time, and it was an explosive episode. Lots of stuff happened. They're trying to wrap up things very quickly, trying to still keep that mystery going. We still don't know where this is all headed. We don't know if Kira's going to get back home or not. We don't know if she's going to end up with Carlos. You called it. They're bringing back that relationship between Carlos and Kira. There's a lot going on. What was your favorite part of the episode, Shannon?
My favorite part of the episode, which was to me the saddest part, when we lost Travis.
Yes.
I liked the fact that he had the chance to walk out and he didn't. And it proved that, he wasn't this gigantic criminal that Liberate is made him into be.
Okay. I want to go take that deeper a second, because I think it was more selfish than you think. If he would have left, he knows that eventually, if it's not Pyron, somebody else is going to get a hold of him, and they're going to experiment the crap over him. Probably dissect him and kill him in the process to get those nanites out.
True.
So he knew.
But he didn't have to leave. He didn't have to let Carlos leave.
Yeah, he did. He needs that, because Carlos is going to protect him.
All right, don't ruin my moment. It was a great moment. Travis is awesome, and I hate to see him leave. Of course, everyone's going to leave, but I think he went out in a cool way.
He did. He absolutely did, especially at that. Okay, at the very last, right, when he's saying "get out of here." So, and they both the super soldier and Travis knew what was going on. They were grips in the deathlock together, and they were both trying to let their people get away. So they weren't doing it for each other's people, but they were doing it for their own people, and it exploded. So we've lost him, the big brute super soldier. We lost the other woman super soldier. Travis killed her with a shotgun. Blasted her into the wall. Right. Cool. So we have Vasquez left. We've lost I can't remember Marcellus. We lost Marcellus. So there's and I can't remember they got Soren. We've got Soren, we've got Vasquez, and we've got Brad. Those are the super soldiers that are left, and Brad is not really a super soldier. So there's only two super soldiers left, right? Or did I miss one?
Who was flying the helicopter?
I think that was just
somebody's left.
Yeah.
And I guess he could be a super soldier, but you haven't seen him in his suit lately. Right.
I don't think he is. I think he was just a normal person.
It's pretty badass watching the two girls come down the hallway. I mean, that was like...
Okay, so the one girl was flipping back and forth, shooting behind her. What was she shooting at? There was nobody there. She was just shooting blanks.
Well, supposedly there was more cops behind it, because when Kira walked in the door, there was dead people there at the door. So, but it's funny. I'm like, that is a cool partnership right there, because the other girl didn't even flinch. She didn't even look back. She's like, yeah, you got it.
Right.
So
that's okay.
Those are some
real
badass
special
girls.
Forces do stuff like that, and it's all training. So they know that the person on the left will be doing that,
Yeah,
or
that's your job.
or it's their job. You check 6 every once in a while, and it wasn't like it was total. It was like every couple of steps, boom, I'll walk back and I'll fire a few shots, and then I'll go forward to meet the forward threat, and back and forth, back and forth.
All I'm thinking is, man, this is a bad hallway.
And Kira walks into it later. She's like, "Uh-oh."
You know, I'm watching this from a law enforcement standpoint. I'm like, that is like an ambush alley right there.
I know. So is up in the prison cells, and we haven't talked about it. Kira let Travis go for selfish reasons, but also because she was like, this is the only way I can let Travis actually survive. And she has respect for Travis. She's come back for him several times. She has the thinking process of Liberate without their methods. So she understands why they're doing what they're doing. She doesn't agree to why they're doing or how they're doing it, but she understands why they're doing it. And I think that's important to note, that she will back up their way of life, which makes it interesting when he calls her out on it. Why is she trying to get back there? There's nothing for it. She is in the darkness. She needs to get back in the light again, because she's clouded with this Sam thing, and she's not thinking in terms of the big picture of, you have
one of them. Yeah,
all these corporations, whatever. So, and then somebody pointed it out. I can't remember if it was a chat earlier or if it was a tweet or whatever, but somebody pointed out that the super soldiers are from a different timeline than Kira. I had assumed that the super soldiers were from 2077. Not so. They're from 2040. No, 2040. They're from last.
They're from before her.
Yeah. So things fell apart faster with Pyron and with what's his name in charge, Kellogg, with Kellogg in charge.
So if they're from 30 years before her time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I tell you again, I it's hard to wrap my brain around some of these timelines sometimes.
Yeah.
So if they're from 30 years before her, and Pyron fell apart, so by the time she comes around, she sees this. She's like, her job. It's a police state.
Well, okay, so let's back up a second. There was a turbulent time, but with Kellogg at Pyron, it is a changed future. Her future does not exist. So again, she's got nowhere to go back to at the moment.
I think at this point, because since day one she's been trying to get back. I don't think she's going to choose to go back. I think she's going to choose to stay with Carlos.
Okay, maybe they grab Sam and bring him into the current time. Sam is not out. I
didn't think about that. They could do that.
Yeah.
But that would just to give a satisfying ending, I guess, for her. But I don't know. I mean, maybe he's not even born. I mean, he's not there. The future's changed completely, and it's changed a couple times differently each time. So I simply don't think he's there anymore.
So you have multiple paths, and you have the time travel, which we did not see in this episode. We did not see Curtis in this episode. We did not see Garza in this episode. We did not see Emily in this episode. All of which I think are going to come back in the final episodes, especially since they mentioned Emily with Dylan in this episode, trying to bring Kellogg to justice. So there's a lot of threads going on. But to get back specifically to Sam, if there are multiple simultaneous time streams and this portal can reach into any of them, this portal can reach in and grab Sam and bring him in. That's the only thing I can think of. And I didn't even think about that until you said whatever it was you said a couple minutes ago. So I don't know. It's a possibility. I haven't really thought it through.
I think she's going to choose to stay with Carlos. Hell, I would. Carlos. That's awesome.
Is he on your list with Sean, by the way?
With Sean?
No. Your list of people that you can, your
our other list. Yes.
Yeah, your list.
I have 2 lists.
Okay.
He's on them, but he's been on the list ever since he was on Charmed, because he's Uncle Coop on Charmed.
Yeah.
He's a hunk of a man, and he's cute.
That has been on in the background a lot in the household.
I would choose Carlos over her little wimpy blonde-headed boy.
I know.
What can I say? Even not married to a blonde boy.
and then when they did that whole, I think it was the future montage last episode when future Alec was talking to past Alec, you see him again, her husband, and you're like, oh, what a weenie.
See, I've never trusted her husband either. So I mean,
Nobody has. Yeah.
I think he had something to do with, even though people tell me no, he was trying to fight for her to get out of it. Yeah, whatever. I think he knew something because every time she had one of her spells, he always, oh, hang on, let me get you more drugs.
Right.
You're fine, completely ignoring the situation here. Pop some more pills. I never trusted him.
So we didn't have the season to develop that. This show was supposed to, in
right.
Simon's mind, go 7 to 10 seasons. We're on season 4 and we're wrapping up. So I think there was going to be a lot of more of that exposed.
4-ish.
And I think Jason, and I can't remember her husband's name for the life of me right now, but I think they knew about this big thing that was being constructed underneath that room.
Isn't his name Michael?
I can't remember. It's
they don't show him enough. I can't remember either.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've gone back a couple times.
Right.
And it would be awesome if we had, I mean, this is the kind of show that they could definitely go on for another at least 4 or 5 seasons.
It could.
Because you have that much kind of thinking process in it. And I've said it before, I like this show because it makes me sit and think. Like I watched it 2 days ago.
So NBC has this new show on called Blind Spot, which is pretty good. It's with my girl Sif, right? Jamie Alexandra. She plays Sif in Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So she comes. What's that?
Thor's girlfriend?
Thor, yeah, not
her.
Not the scientist. His girlfriend.
Yeah, not Natalie Portman. The girl from.
Yes.
That's her.
Yep, that's her with all the tattoos and everything. That is Sif. So she has all these tattoos and it's a big mystery and that sort of thing. My point is the show is doing great. It's got like 23 million
I haven't
views.
seen any of it.
Oh, it's my favorite.
She's also the one that came on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, right?
Yes. So it is the winner of this fall. No other show aside from the Muppets, which I also like, just from the funny perspective, but there's no other serious drama. Limitless, Quantico, Minority Report, all these shows with big promises, they don't do it for me at all. I'm in a binary state, whether it's good, I'm going to watch it, or I don't have time for it, it's not going to watch it. There's only 2 shows this fall that have made that cut. One was Blind Spot and one was the Muppets. But my point is, if Continuum, instead of being on Showcase and Sci-Fi Channel, instead was on NBC, I think they would have gotten that 7 to 10 seasons, because it is such a big mystery. It is such a great show. And it's not so science fiction-y that you would get lost in it.
All right, quickly tell me what it's about, because now I'm interested.
Blind Spot?
Yeah.
Well, I
didn't realize that was her.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you the quick premise of it. So this bag is found in the middle of Times Square with a note on it that says called the FBI. So it's a quick cut. The next scene, Times Square is completely vacant, right? There's nobody in there. And there's a guy in a bomb squad, anti-explosive suit that walks up to it. And the bag starts opening up on its own. And then out pops this naked woman with a bunch of tattoos on her. Right. And then she's been given this mind erasing drug, which they did a tox report on her, and they know that her mind has been wiped. And so the thing is, who is she? What are these tattoos leading up to? And these tattoos in the ensuing episodes start revealing different things that are going on. And there's a big tattoo on her back, which specifically calls out a specific FBI agent. And so he's brought in. He doesn't know her, at least at first. They are definitely messages, and they lead to something. And then she's getting bits and pieces of her memory in flashes. I don't think she'll ever get it back. She might. I don't know. But she's getting bits and pieces of what has previously happened to her, which could be completely misleading. It is. And there's a lot of great action in the show. She is a badass. She is just like Vasquez is in this series, just like Kira is in the series. So I would heartily encourage you to check that out. Absolutely.
How far are they into it?
3-4 episodes, I think, this past week. So it should be on your on-demand on your cable or satellite provider, because NBC knows this is a big hit. They've been leaving it out there. So about
it's first season, only a couple episodes in.
That's right. Just started this fall. Yeah. I'd go check that out.
I did see them mention at Comic-Con, but of course I couldn't get to it. There was.
Yeah. Of course.
So
Jamie is a phenomenal actress, and she still has that heavy kind of accent that she has as a Asgardian as well.
Mhm.
But she's definitely more human, and you see her afraid because she doesn't know what her past is. She doesn't know what she's capable of. So at times she's an afraid little girl, and she finds out that she actually is one of the most badass special agents on the planet, really, in her moves and everything. So that's great. Before we get further, let me just say a couple of things about Continuum Desperate Hour. It was written by Shelley Erickson, who has at least 7 Continuum episodes, ranging back from Second Skin, second season, 2013, all the way to the Desperate Hours, 2015. And it was directed by Patrick Williams. We talked about him before. He has an excessive amount of experience with Continuum. He's one of the co-executive producers, and he's directed 17 Continuum episodes. He might not be a co-executive producer. I might have misspoke there, but he's directed 17 of the episodes between 2012 and 2015. So yeah, knows what he's doing, and did a phenomenal job on this. So it's my hats off to both of you. And then next week we get of course, the series showrunner in charge as well. Okay, back to the episode. Kellogg kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here.
literally.
And he's been tracked, and he must have known he was tracked because he left the jacket behind for a reason.
True. Or maybe Kira just.
Okay,
Oh,
so Brad has completely turned. Brad, I believe,
Completely.
is still operating under the false assumption that his family is alive. I do not believe for 1 second that
No,
his family
they're
is
playing
alive.
him completely.
Yeah. So all of them have told him the same thing to get him to bend to their will. He's gonna have to sacrifice himself to end this, because he's gonna find out his family's dead, and it's like, okay, well,
See, yeah, because I think he truly does have feelings for Kira.
right.
I think, like you said, he's being blinded, and they've been playing him since the moment they came through the portal, because they know that he is a security risk and he's a weakness. So that's why they can't let him in. He's a need to know, and he will never need to know what they're doing because they don't trust him. So they are completely lying to him. His family is not coming in, and I think you said it exactly. He will sacrifice himself in order to save Kira once he realizes that he's been played.
Right. I want that little the little pen that knocks out security cameras, and that,
Talking about getting a key. I mean, that was a pretty damn big key.
okay, here's my thought on that. That is not the actual key. 3D printing is a big thing. Alec could have had a replica made, throw a little metal in there, make sure it weighs about the same, and then that is a red herring. If that's true, though, the real key kind of blew up with the office. So it's a possibility.
Well, no, he grabbed something. Alec grabbed something and put it in his shirt pocket before he ran out into the roof.
Yeah.
So
I know. I think
what if he had more than one in his pocket?
yeah, that too. Like there's multiple on his
He got
person.
his finger broke for it.
Yeah. So lots of stuff happening there as well. I mentioned there was a lot of grenades in this episode. There definitely were. They're in the stairwells and the jail cells, the big explosion in the office area. This is not typical Continuum action violence.
I would, again, being in law enforcement, you would assume that the last time they got their entire building blown up, that they would put better security measurements in.
Well,
Hence the hallway.
Okay, this is a little bit believable to me because the police department is suffering, and they've had deaths, and they're gotten a little gutted and whatever. I mean, they've had half the town blow up, when Kagami took down that building. So they've lost some capability. They've lost some personnel. So I can see them still in the rebuilding process. Take a look at New York. How long did it really take to get those fire departments and police departments back up to speed? It took several years. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely don't have a police station now.
No. So Brad supposedly
Or a crew.
you're right. Brad supposedly has the key. there was some deaths, but there were some survivors. So Carlos does have a little bit of thing. And Dylan has redeemed himself. Now with Kellogg now in the custody of the super soldiers, Dylan can come back over to the police department to lend service, but he's not very capable. He's crippled. So I don't know in an action
And he's
sense.
not very trustworthy at the moment.
No, but I don't. Well, I mean, that was the redemption. He brought Carlos the ability to bring Kellogg down. They're police officers. That's what they believe in. The here and now justice. And Carlos brought that up.
I like that line that Kira was telling Brad that, I guess I'm more of a cop than I thought.
Right.
When they were standing on the roof.
Yeah. So I think their relationship is going to be mended a little bit.
Poor Alec. He's always needing a chick to save him.
Well, I think, as I mentioned before, I think Emily is going to come back next episode. I think she's going to save him at some point in time somehow. Question for you. Are we going to see old Alec again?
I think so. I think they're going to wrap everything up nice and neatly.
I think that we've seen the last of old Alec.
Oh, you're talking about the kid Alec. Okay.
No,
yeah.
old Alec.
Old Alec. Cigarette smoking man Alec.
Yeah. I think the episode that we saw last time with...
yeah, probably because they have no need for it anymore.
Right.
I mean, they wrapped up. You know exactly what he's doing in the future. You don't need to see that because that future's gone.
Right. So Kellogg is now the inside man because Kira knows she can't trust Brad. And honestly, she can't trust Kellogg either. So
no, that's all. That's what her and Alec were talking about the entire time. We had these two people that we don't trust at all, but they're all we have. We have Brad and Kellogg, and then Brad was your number one, and then of course Brad's not anything anymore. Now it has to be Kellogg, and you still don't trust him, and he still doesn't trust you. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been watching you through the security camera. So there is some major trust issues, rightly so. But I think now it comes down to saving his own skin. So like he was telling Kira, please don't let me go. Don't I don't want to. Why wouldn't he want to go with Vasquez?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no. Don't let me go with her. So he knows that he's in a tough position now, and he knows that Kira is the only one that will come save him. So he better be in the up and up. And she's promising, look, I'm going to let you go, but I will come after you. I will help you. Again, for selfish reasons, because she needs him. But I think at this point, I mean, she's all he's got. So even though he's not trustworthy for her, I think he'll keep his end of the bargain because he wants to get rescued.
Okay, I've got two more notes to talk about. First of all is they brought back the Liberate lawyer. It was the same lawyer that we saw before, and he got his butt tased. That was great.
He got tased in the forehead.
That was awesome. And then I just one more tip of the hat to the great Carlos super soldier Travis fight. That was amazing. Carlos showed he can hold his own. Travis took the assault bullets in his chest, continued. It was some amazing fighting. And thank you very much to Continuum for giving us that, because that has been one part of the show that has been awesome. We will see Garza. I brought up before. We will see Garza, Emily, possibly old Alec, definitely the time traveler, Curtis Chen. That's all going to come to a conclusion next week. I cannot wait to watch this episode tonight.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know what the time traveler is going to be bringing into this episode. I don't know. Maybe he's just there to say, "Hey, look, this sucks. Don't do this because this is going to be ruining your lives," or there's nothing left to go through. Chen is going to be. He's going to be the one that's going to filling in the answers, I think, for us.
Right. So I just see the time traveler as sort of the Star Trek Voyager vision scenes, which nobody really liked. I know.
Wait a minute. You talking about the skinny, tall time traveler that Wesley was always with?
Wesley.
Mr. Holmes. Yeah, look at Mr. Holmes.
I'm talking about the Curtis time traveler dude.
Okay, never mind. I'll start going to a different show.
Yeah. So I think there's going to just be a little vision quest going on with the time traveler and trying to organize all the different time streams, but we'll see. I can't wait to see this. I know in Canada you've already seen this, and by the time this podcast comes out, the other episode
be irrelevant.
will have been out in the United States as well. So
my prediction right now is she will not go home and she will choose to stay with Carlos. Now, whether
But-
they bring Sam through or not, that's
Yeah.
something I didn't even think about. But
I
I guess
didn't-
it can.
And of course, we've got this big army that's going to come through as well. So,
Yeah, and what's the purpose of that? So
don't know.
I don't know.
Lots of fun stuff. I'm glad we decided to podcast these last 6 episodes. It has been great. So next in 2 days, we will podcast on Final Hour, episode 6 of season 4, the 42nd total, episode 42. So we will definitely be on that. And then just a little reminder, if you like this podcast, we are a part of the network, the GonnaGeek.com network. There's a lot of geeky shows out there, including Tyrion's Landing, which covers Game of Thrones. And because Game of Thrones came in with the sweeping Emmy win, the Tyrion's Landing crew got together in the offseason to talk about the Emmys. And you can find that at GonnaGeek.com. Search for Tyrion's Landing. I believe it is episode number 94. So go check that out. And you will hear Jeannie and her gang talk about all the great Emmys of Game of Thrones. And I know, Shannon, you're a Game of Thrones fan too, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
What was her name? Her real name, I can't think of. She played Daenerys on Game of Thrones. Emilia Clarke. She just won. I think it was No, I can't remember which magazine it was, but she won the sexiest woman of the world.
Nice.
So
hard to not when you're naked with dragons.
But you know what? She said that she was not going to do that anymore. She doesn't want to be completely naked anymore in Game of Thrones.
I don't disagree. You do it for kind of a shock value, but also to make a statement. But after that, if you just continue to do it, it's too much.
Right. Yeah. Once they seen you're good, you don't have to do it every season.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, you can have body doubles. They do it in movies all the time. So no big deal.
Or you can have merkins, like they did, like Jamie did in Spartacus, like Jamie and Lucy in Spartacus merkins.
So Shannon and I, and on behalf of Sean, want to thank everybody for your continued support of Voices of Defiance, getting back with us via email, Facebook, Twitter. We did have a great tweet at tech_geek_RE.
I have it right in my hand too. I was going to tell you.
Responded to at Luvia_Peterson, which is Garza. And she was asking if anybody knew any geeky podcasts. And of course, there was a main Continuum podcast that's Liberate, Mike.
Mike Davis.
So
Mike
he has done a phenomenal job of podcasting on Continuum. We're not trying to diminish what he has done at all. Our hats off to him. We just like the show, wanted to talk about it as we waited for the Defiance announcement, which has not come yet. But I also responded and said, hey, there is a bunch of Gonna Geek podcasts out there. And what Ryan said was Gonna Geek has a bunch, primarily listen to Voices of Defiance. They've been covering Continuum series while #Defiance is off air. And then I also responded and say, hey, if you like Voices of Defiance, there is Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., there is Crimson Comet podcast on The Flash, there's Starling Tribune, there's just a bunch of geeky shows on Gonna Geek, so go check them out. And thank you very much, Ryan, for pointing her in our direction.
Yeah, Ryan is a longtime listener for Voice of Defiance. He's been with us. He was on the live stream on all of our Voice of Defiance.
Yeah.
And I play the game with him. So he's a homie.
Yeah, normally we record Sundays at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. We couldn't do that this past week because Shannon was at New York Comic Con. We will be back on that schedule this next week. And then that will be our last episode for a while, pending an announcement from Defiance. And Shannon and I and Sean will just think about what our next move is. So we'll just go from there.
I'm telling you, if we get a yes or no about Defiance, I'm pretty sure I will be exploding on Twitter either way.
All right. So look forward to that. So thank you very much to everybody for tweeting us, for all the downloads and everything. We really appreciate that. Thank you for listening to all the live people on Spreaker, Mixler, and YouTube. We appreciate that. So until next time, I'm Stargate Pioneer.
This is Sci-Fi Girl, Shannon.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Voices of Defiance. If you want to get in touch with us, you can catch us on Twitter at VoicesODefiance. Email us at feedback@voicesofdefiance.com. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/voicesofdefiance. Swing by our website, www.voicesofdefiance.com, or send us a voicemail at area code 612-888-ARC1. That's 612-888-2751. This podcast is not affiliated with Sci-Fi, the television show Defiance, or the Trion video game Defiance. Music titled after the Apocalypse by Schneeshnook and Rocket Easy by Sound Rogue can be found on pond5.com. Catch you next time, and watch out for those hellbugs.